Hey, this is Nathan Allen Pinard, and I'm just doing a quick vlog here, or maybe not so quick. I haven't released any videos this week because of a few things. I just wanted to explain that while also talking about some other things. I had to switch video editing software. I was using CyberLink Power Director 15, but it was just giving me issues that other people just didn't have, or common issues. And I decided to bite the bullet and go back into Adobe Creative Cloud because it's $50 a month, but man, you get everything. This week has been somewhat busy because of Grammy ballots. I am a first-time Grammy member, and for those of you who don't know, you basically become a Grammy member and do the voting. And I'm not talking about the nomination voting, which that will be much more exciting. There are a staggering number of entries. So yeah, that has been a bit of an ordeal to be able to, properly vote and all that. The HP Spectre X360 gave the ghost. It won't charge. So first I am going to try to repair it. I've ordered the part, and I'm guessing it's the DC jack. Usually it is in laptops. However, there is a possibility it could be the motherboard. At that point, nope. Not gonna fix it. And if that doesn't work, I may have to save up for a new Surface. Got some new gigs, which is great because I had a crap weekend, or a crap week last week. I contacted James with Technocrat Games, who developed Techno Babylon. Don't get too excited. This isn't Techno Babylon 2. For a little small World War II project, which is basically an adventure game set in the World War II era, and it's not so much a game but kind of like a tech demo, and he wants 2 pieces of music for it. So the first thing is supposed to be a big adventure-esque like World War II adventure. That sounds a little weird, but think of it in a much more lighthearted way, where you have like the sort of airline, or airline pilot, but biplane pilot music, that where you have the guy that's like all gung-ho about flying, and that's the kind of music that you would get. Most likely something that comes out of a sort of John Williams-esque adventure theme. We'll see how that turns out. And then also I'm doing sound design for a game called The Untold Legacy by Iconic Games. This is a sort of Zelda-ish adventure game, which it'll look like that at a glance, but the game itself has actually a fairly deep story and a lot of other features. You can go to the website here down below in the description. And he has some details on how it is there, but I'm going to be doing sound design for that. Not music, but just sound design. And that'll be a challenge because there's a lot of enemies in a lot of different areas, and it should be a fun project. Sound design is always like really interesting because while music is fun, sound design has a different kind of enjoyment element to it, especially when you just kind of get to design and embed those. I'm not going to be programming it, which would be nice to do. It uses the Unity engine, so that could be a thing, possibly in the future. But for now, I'm just making sounds for it. If you have been on my Facebook, you may have noticed that I've decided to come out with a concept album in 2018. That's the plan anyway. I didn't really explain what this was, so I'll go ahead and put the cover here so you can see. As you can see, it looks very sci-fi, and it has text on it that indicates it's a soundtrack for planet exploration. That is just a weird slogan, and I'd like to maybe change it to something, but let me just tell you what this is. I for some reason, and this is actually kind of big in the video game community, where you have a lot of different movies, video games, TV shows, whatever, that have a survival aspect. So let me put this in terms that you might understand. You have Walking Dead. You give it a post-apocalyptic setting. It's about zombies, big surprise. And there's always about survival and them surviving, the zombie apocalypse, basically. Well, the sci-fi era has that too, and a lot of video games have done it, where you essentially crash on a planet. You got games like RimWorld, Osiris New Dawn, there's a bunch of them. And basically, you crash land on a planet, and At first, it's like, oh, it's a planet. It's beautiful. This is cool. Let's set up. We got a colony now. Let's go. Oh crap! What is that? And then all hell breaks loose. That's kind of what I want to do. I mean, the beginning of the album will be literally them discovering the planet. This is gonna be based off of a song I wrote a long time ago called "A Brave New World," it goes from them maybe crash landing on it and then landing on it, set up a colony, maybe going on an expedition, maybe exploring things. You got different areas. Maybe there's caves made out of crystal. I mean, maybe there's a jungle, maybe there's all sorts of different biomes that I could write off of. I mean, it's essentially how you kind of score a video game. And then you pick an enemy, whatever it's man-eating plants or aliens or sandworms or whatever. I mean, it could be anything. And you add the danger element, and then at the end, they get off the planet. That's kind of the story that I'm going with. 10 to 12-ish track album. However, I decide to do this, that's what's going to happen. So it's called Eden, because I decided to call that the planet that. There is actually a very few names that made sense. I mean, you don't want to call it Kepler or whatever number that is. And sometimes people would call it Pandora. Eden just seemed to fit. So that is something that I want to do, and I want to release it sometime in 2018, most likely during the summer where the peak of that stuff gets released. Another thing I've been doing this week, not to say that I've been wasting time, but I've been playing Civilization 6. When I played Civilization Beyond Earth, which was the sci-fi ish version of it, which disappointed a lot of people. The game didn't really do that well, not even with the expansion, but that was some of the best music I ever heard in a video game. Civilization 6 already beats that. The score is by Jeff Noor. I hope I pronounced that right. He's the primary composer. There also sometimes to be a number of other composers. I mean, the amount of music is astronomical because a lot of people are going to say this isn't new, but it feels new to me, because usually in Civilization 4 or Civilization 5, there's music, and it's maybe like 1 or 2 steps per civilization. You have a very simplistic style of music for when you first start out your civilization. And then when you meet other civilizations, the music changes too. But at any point, the first 3 eras or whatever eras have kind of just this very minimalistic style of whatever that civilization you're playing, whether it's America or China or India, Civilization 6 takes that idea to a whole new level. What it does is, to give you an example, if you play Arabia with Saladin, it starts out with just a duduk, just a solo duduk with the most beautiful tone I have ever heard, even more than Yvonne Gasparian in Gladiator and the other things that he's done. Is just an amazing tone. Probably has a ridiculously expensive Lexicon reverb on it, and then it just kind of sort of evolves into maybe 2 or 3 other instruments, and then from there it just explodes into a full-blown, Arabic orchestra experience when you get to a certain time. And I even haven't gotten to the modern times yet, but when I did get close, or at least I met a civilization that did, it started putting hybrid elements, meaning technical elements within an orchestra, synthesis, arpeggiating stuff, and trailer type-ish music. And I was just thoroughly impressed. So like with you have the duduk. With America, it's just Appalachian from the start. You hear the mountain harp and the fiddle. India, you have an Indian flute. I can't remember the name of it, but it's just a solo flute. China, you have I think it's like an erhu, and then also some. It's not koto because that's Japanese. It's the other kind of string instrument with China. Anyway, basically every civilization starts out with a historic instrument that meets that civilization. And then it just evolves up to a grand orchestra. And I'm telling you, the orchestral stuff of this is like right out of the movies. It is fantastically done. it's really hard to tell, but most of it I think is a real orchestra. Most of it. There are cases where I hear maybe some virtual instruments, maybe in some tracks, but it's really hard to tell because they're so good at making the virtual instruments sound very good. So obviously that's not a reason to buy the game, but I feel that they really did what they said they did, because when I heard that the music evolves, I was like, oh, well, I mean, you keep saying that, but it didn't really happen. This really does. So also the other thing is the menu music. Christopher Tin you can't hire anybody else for that. There's no way. And I get that it's actually placed. He probably didn't write it for Civilization. Oh, at this point he might have. Baba Yetu, I believe, was placed for one of his albums. I don't know how it worked this time around. So yeah, good game and good music. All right, well, that's it for this vlog. Thank you for watching. My name is Nathan Allen Pinard. To support me, you can watch my videos on this channel, which for whatever reason I named, even though I know you're watching it. Although you could be watching this on Facebook, so it is youtube.com/Nathan Allen Pinard. Keep forgetting about that. You can buy my albums at nathanallenpinard.bandcamp.com. You can buy the Gemini Ruse soundtrack and the Techno Babylon soundtrack. And if you're one of those people that likes to donate, they actually let you tip with the donation. I don't really have a way to take direct donations, and I don't really like doing that. So go ahead and purchase the albums if you want to support me. Subscribe to this channel. If you have any questions about how I produce music, or what kind of aspects do you want to know about music, or heck, just ask me anything. I'll decide if I want to answer it or not. But if you want to do that, you can put that below in the comments, and if I get enough of them, I'll come up with a Q&A video or whatnot. So that's it. Thank you very much, and until the next note.